questions or things. I explained last night that they're not devotees. No, they're really not interested either. We had to dig them up. Not that they were close to the movement, except, as I said, that boy Robert Nelson. But we had to just completely excavate them from where they were, and go and see them. Like this girl, Carol Beckar, Shesha went and interviewed her in Montreal. She was living there. And she had nothing to do with our center in Montreal. And living in the same city, in fact, was another girl who was married to this boy, Carl, who's mentioned here. And she was so inimical, she didn't want to talk to us or help us at all. Although she also had memories, but she didn't want to talk. So, they weren't interested. This inability to accept Prabhupada is absolute. We somehow were trying to take gold from a filthy place. Many of these people said many things that were offensive. So this was mostly a group that just did something helpful to Prabhupada for a certain period. No, those are the same kind of things as this, earlier sections. It may be that as time goes by, we will change these things if we get more information or something. But that's about it. What's in the BTG or the way this is coming out. Unfortunately, we're not Krishna's Kaviraj. We can make a beautiful epic out of it, but it will be relatable to people in terms of modern biography. At this time, yeah, I have a section later, I'll read in a couple of nights, about the letters he wrote to India at this time, from the Bowery. Oh no, you saw, if you've read the installments so far in the BTG, that's the whole theme. We don't want to help you. I just thought he's off there doing something, but why should we help? Even now, we have such a nice institution, we ask people to help. They can see, obviously, what it's going to. They won't help. But they didn't want to help him all by himself, not knowing what it would be. Not even his godbrothers.
What seemed so wonderful to me about that when I was reading was the fact that Prabhupada never, even though he was getting no help from his godbrothers or any dedicated response, he never blasphemed or never criticized his godbrothers or looked at them as lower than himself or anything. He just humbly continued to approach them, but even though they didn't want to help, he never considered their devotion less. Didn't seem to respond in a retaliating way.
No. It's Vaishnava. And at the end of his life in this world, because on occasions Prabhupada did speak, in order for his disciples to understand, he did speak strongly about his godbrothers. But at the end of his life, in Vrindavan, he asked them to come and see him. And he apologized to them if he ever did speak against them. He said, if in the course of my preaching I ever said anything, please forgive me. times had to make that clear to us.
Still, when the need was so great, and under such trying conditions, you'd think that the ordinary person would become very upset because
Yeah.
he wasn't getting any results.
Bitter, alienated. Yes.
I was interested to hear the emphasis Prabhupada placed on Sanskrit language in his early days, particularly in the lack of response. I'm wondering, just looking at the first line of Srimad Bhagavatam, for instance, in the introduction, I see Prabhupada speaking of Ramayana and the Puranas and all of these groups as Vedic literature, which he's implying, I would think, we ought to know. And yet, none of these things are being translated.
Well, there are some plans, but a few of his disciples are proficient in Sanskrit. But and in the future we'll see more of this. But it's not only Sanskrit. One requires to have the realization. So it's he asked one of his disciples particularly to do this work for Junior, but he's very slow in coming out with something because he says it's very difficult. And now some others are seriously studying Sanskrit. So that's a part of the plan, is that more works should come out. But it seems to be quite difficult. Westerners, we decided that not to push on this Sanskrit, and later he would discourage it and just try to train people up and present things in English and get them to chant the mantras like we do in the morning classes and learn the verses in that way. However, we certainly feel that what he's given us, after all, his spiritual master said to preach in English. So what he's given us in English, and now has been translated into other local languages, those translations from the Sanskrit and the purports, they're certainly sufficient to go back to Godhead and also to become a scholar of the Bhagavatam and a good preacher. If you can actually, as Prabhupada used to say, cram my purports, if you can cram those books, you'll know the essence. Vedaischa sarvera hameva vedo, Vedanta krit veda vedeva chaham. You'll know the essence of Vedanta, Ramayana, certainly all the Puranas. Their essence is in the Mahapurana, Bhagavad Purana. But that will be a future of ISKCON, and some more works will come.
We have this one picture, motion picture, of Prabhupada walking.
Not that early. That's in Boston, 1968. So, but not at this time. There's an even earlier film, Happiness on Second Avenue. That's also available on one of those cassettes. That was in January 1967 in the First Temple. It's a TV film. Some TV station. It's really primitive thing. But it shows Prabhupada is so wonderful amidst these strange creatures. You can see these very kind of things that are described here. These kind of people, and how Prabhupada is moving right amidst them in that film. You can see that he's such a great soul, and these people are on a completely different level, and yet he's compassionately delivering Krishna consciousness and leading them in the chanting.
And one film I used to see in Boston, like Prabhupada would be walking and the streetcar would go by. And he
advertising slogan on the side. So many people would be sitting and they look, someone would look up and see Prabhupada, and Prabhupada would step out of a taxi in the middle of traffic. And it seemed like whenever Prabhupada would be present, all the other things would became incongruous, like they didn't have any reality.
Yeah.
You could understand that prior to Prabhupada walking on the street or stepping out of a taxi cab, that everybody had definitely completely absorbed that this taxi cab or this streetcar was total reality for us. Prabhupada dispelled all the illusion.
And unfortunately, when he would go, they would go back to illusion. So somehow, wherever the quality is, it's hard to pin down. There's that some persons, when he came, it was never the same afterwards, and they always followed that transcendental light that he brought. So the answer is just that we're very fortunate we received the causeless mercy. Prabhupada explained that one time in Mayapur. Of course, pious past activities are there, but he said ultimately it is some people take to Krishna consciousness because of Krishna's mercy. He said it like the rain. Generally the rain falls everywhere in some area, but sometimes the rain may even fall on one side of the building and not on another. He said, so Krishna is free to distribute his mercy the way he wants. Something like this book, Hare Krishna and the Counterculture, and other studies, they try to analyze just what kind of people come to Krishna consciousness with some mundane theory, that it's actually people who come from broken homes, or mostly they're of this religion, or psychologically they're in need of this, such and such thing. But that's not a fact.